guys have already made my day. You've already made my day this Friday, September 28th. And first and foremost, I want to say good morning to you.
Good morning.
Do a little bit better than that.
Good morning.
That's what I'm talking about. I teach a class here. One of the courses I teach here, I use hip hop as a tool to discuss different social issues. So that's one of the things that you can look forward to on the various college campuses that you're going, that you'll be embarked upon next year. It's not just this campus, but now, your courses on jazz, and blues, women's studies, a lot of interesting things. Bless you. So the course I use, or the course I teach, I use hip hop as a tool just to break down different social issues, some social issues that are not discussed enough. We cover history, black history, Latino history, indigenous people's history. We cover all types of issues by using hip hop. And so I say that because when you gave me that wonderful good morning back, I'm going to be working off a little call and response. I'm not an MC, but I am a hip hop historian. I love hip hop. I can't rap, so don't ask me to. I might try before the end of the day, or the end of the session is out, but I do feed off of your energy. If I don't get energy from you, it's hard for me to pick myself up. So it's that call and response. We're going to feed off of each other. So I also, first and foremost, before we can get started, I want to thank the elders in the room, and that includes your college mentors, the young men and women who are sitting around these tables that are public health majors, that are, what other majors are you guys? Behavioral sciences? Huh? English. So they're your elders as well, and they're part of your village as well, and they're here, they're giving their time. These are programs that were not even afforded to me even when I was in college. I'm not going to try to date myself, but I was in college in the mid-1990s, so I guess I just did date myself. But I didn't even have programs like this. We didn't have programs like this, and we certainly didn't have, as high school students, opportunity to come on college campuses, to be engaged by young college students, the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, to actually take time out of their busy schedules to give back to you guys, so that your process of filling out applications, your process of making that transition from high school to college was a little bit better, was more smooth. But they recognized the thing that I recognize in you, and the same thing that your other elders, Tamika Montgomery and Dr. Simmons Brown back there, they need no introduction. But the work, I've been doing work with them for, I guess, several years, dating back several years now. And I have the utmost respect for the Minority and Urban Education program on this campus and the work that they're doing. It is fantastic work. It's work that's needed not just in Maryland, but in every single state in this country. And I think that they're one of the strong models that other states and other colleges can look at. So I want to thank them for the time that they've given you. So can we have just a little round of applause for them? So it's not about me, and you'll soon find out it's about you, but in the end, I think you guys, I hope that if I'm doing my job properly, you'll think about understanding that it's not entirely about you as well, what my talk has to do with. So I want to start off with a couple things. I just put together a couple bullet points that I want you guys to look at. The first and foremost, I said, it's an honor to be here today because I'm in the presence of kings and queens. Every single one of you, I want you to envision yourselves. Yes. Give yourself a round of applause. Never forget that you all are kings and queens. You have to be visionaries. You have to learn to see things. I'm going to take a transition because sometimes we don't see things that other folks may see in us. And hopefully as we evolve through life, as we get older and more mature, we start to see the beauty within ourselves. And if you guys already see the beauty in yourselves and already see yourself as kings and queens, you're 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 steps ahead of where I was at when I was your age. And I'll tell you that story, how it took me a little while to actually realize, that I was not, I don't want to say just not college material, but before that I was a scholar, that I was erudite. And I'm not going to dumb things down because you guys are all scholars, so I'm not going to dumb things down for you. So if I say something a word that you don't understand, or if you've never heard before, write it down and ask me, or ask your elders after the session. And that's what happened with me when I was your age. I had some folks that stepped into my life that said, you know what, I'm not going to dumb things down for you. I'm not going to lower any kind of expectation. You've had expectations lowered your entire life, by some folks that you call teachers, Solomon, and we're absolutely simply not going to do that. So I'm not going to do that either. We thanked our elders, very important. They've invested in what I call social capital. You guys understand a bank? Most of you, or some of you, guys have bank accounts, right? You love bank accounts. All right, you accrue interest. You pick up interest. The more your money's in that bank, sometimes, depending on what bank, it may be more or little in terms of interest that you pick up. But you guys are social capital. And what I mean, does anyone know what I mean by that? Social capital. What's capital? Capital. Money, right. So you guys are social capital. The youth, which you guys are all youth, you are social capital. And it's important, societies that get it, societies that want to have a better future, they invest in their social capital. They invest in the youth. They invest in education. They invest in the lives of young people like yourselves. They do it over and over and over again. And so you being a part of this program, there are folks in this room that are invested in the social capital. And I don't want to say that they're doing it for an ulterior motive, but in a way, we all are doing it for an ulterior motive. I'm doing it for an ulterior motive. I have children. You guys represent the future. You guys represent potential teachers and community leaders and doctors and lawyers. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on, the different professions, designers that you may be doing to occupy different communities that children, like my own children, will be influenced by. So yes, in a way I'm doing it selfishly, and I'll put it out there, but it's because if we don't do it, our future, is not going to be as bright as it should be. And I really want to impress this upon you. I want to just kind of walk around. I want to impress this upon you. You guys represent a better society, a society that's better than this. And I don't want to speak on behalf, but I'm certain, just based on my relationship with Tamika and Dr. Simmons Brown, that we're not doing this because we feel sorry for anybody in this room. We're doing this because you guys, frankly, are better and brighter than us. I totally believe that. You have all the potential in the world. You have more potential than we have. You have a wealth of information that I didn't have at my disposal when I was your age. You have access to different resources that I didn't have at your age. So if you embrace these different resources that you have all around you, there's no doubt that you're going to go on to do things that are bigger and better than all of us. Does that make sense? Yeah. Does that make sense? Does it make sense that there's a lot riding on your broad shoulders? Does that make sense? I don't want to put an added pressure on you, but I think it's pressure that you should all embrace. I think it's a wonderful pressure to have. Kind of cover that off. So I want to go to the next slide. I want to go to kind of my background. Critical thinking is something I want you to grab a hold of. Tim, who's one of my students who's taken one of my classes before, who's behind the camera, knows how I value critical thinking. Anybody know what critical thinking is? Critical thinking. Critical thinking is going to go into you filling out your application. Critical thinking is going to go?
Thinking outside of the box.
Thinking outside the box. And also say, for instance, I give you some information. I say, I don't know. I say, I don't know. I can't think of something imaginary. But if I say something that you've never heard before, I say something that you never have ever heard before. Critical thinking is that you deconstruct that information. You go look up that information and you chew it before you digest it. You chew it, you look up the information, find out what the common denominator is, and just say, man, I had never heard that before, but or that contradicts what I had heard before about other things. You're going to find out when you go to college, you're going to hopefully have some wonderful professors, and they're probably going to be, some of them are going to be far and few between, but they're going to challenge you to read more outside of their classrooms than they do inside your classroom. They're going to challenge you, and they're going to challenge some of the things that you've been taught your entire lives about history, about yourselves. And so sometimes learning means to unlearn. Sometimes the best learning happens when you have to unlearn certain things in order to take a step forward and to learn certain things. Critical thinking means before that information becomes a part of your subconscious and how you understand it, you deconstruct it. You deconstruct it and you think, you think, you think. Critical thinking is vital. It is vital. It saves people's lives. It ensures people's futures. It helps them go on and deliver information to 2 to 3 to 300 to 3,000 people. You're able to move mountains if you can critically think. Okay? So I want you to really embrace that thought of critical thinking. I love the fact that some people are writing it down right now. Never allow your quest for knowledge and information to be confined in the classroom. The moment, quite simply, the moment that you say, you know what, I'm in Solomon Kamajan's class, and I'm just going to read what he assigns to me. I've never heard this before. I never knew this, I never heard this guy, A. Philip Randolph, or I never knew Dr. King. I knew Dr. King did such and such because everyone talks about his speech in 1963. But no one ever told me about these wonderful things that he did the last 3 years of his life, and how he became just an unrelenting, outspoken critic against social justice in ways that I'd never heard before. If you just allow the information that somebody gives you in their classroom to be the end-all and be-all, and you don't take that next step and say, you know what, I'm going to read this book written by Dr. King. I'm going to read this autobiography written by Dr. King after this class is finished. I'm going to read it during the summertime. I'm going to read it next semester. I'm going to read it in my free time. Don't allow your classroom, whether it's in high school, or who said they're going to Pepperdine, or University of Maryland, or Syracuse, some of the schools I heard. Don't let what your professors give you be the end-all, be-all. Take that challenge, and if they don't challenge themselves, shame on them, but if they do, or if they don't, I should say, then you take that challenge, you challenge yourself to read much more than what you're assigned in classrooms. Study your history, your legacy. Everyone has a history in here, regardless of what your background is. Regardless of what your background is. You have a history that also predates where you live right now. You have a history that predates where you live right now. You live in Prince George's County. Every single person has a history that predates that, thousands and thousands of years. Take it upon yourself. There was a great, great man by the name of Marcus Garvey. He said that people without knowledge of their history and culture is like a tree without roots. Take it upon yourself to learn about your legacy, about your history, learn about your parents, learn about your grandparents, learn far, far beyond your grandparents. Learn about yourself. Don't just assume that your schools are going to give you everything that you need, even in college. Take it upon yourself. The best education in your lifetime is going to occur when you, as I said before, when you take it upon yourself to go into libraries, get those books, read on your own, and discover new things about yourself, about this world. Never forget from where you came. You guys are all undoubtedly, I believe, without any kind of hesitation or any kind of pause, that each one of you is going to excel on the next level and the level beyond that. College is just a stepping stone. Your college degree is a stepping stone. Your master's degree, your PhD, your JD, your MD, they're just stepping stones. They're just stepping stones to bigger and better things that you guys will be doing the rest of your life. Life is an evolution. You want to look at, if you live, and hopefully all of you will live long, long, healthy lives. If you live to be 100, you want to say that, you know what, I know more. I know more at 100 than I did when I was 98 or 99. Learning is a lifetime process. Don't let it start and stop with your education, with your formal education. Does that make sense as well?
Yeah.
And as you rise, look for other people to pull up. Unfortunately, I want to put something out to you. 1% of the world's population is college educated. 1% of the world's population. We have, what, 7 billion people in the world now? 1% of the world's population is college educated. 1%. And it's not because, you know, everyone just didn't work hard enough, they didn't study hard enough. Some people don't have the same opportunities that you do. Some people don't have the same opportunities that I had. There are some people that work really, really hard that are brilliant somewhere right now in the world, and they don't have the same opportunities that you do. So when I said earlier that you guys represent the best and the brightest, it means that if you keep it to yourself, if it's all about, what's your name? Pepperdine? Aaron? If Aaron just says, you know what, it's about Aaron, that's it. And Aaron could go on to get a PhD, a MD, a JD, all three. If it's all about Aaron, then all that success that she just accumulated, it's all about Aaron. It's not being paid for it to anybody. But when you realize that if you go on to get those degrees, if you go on to get multiple accolades and achievements and awards, and as you do and as you get that spotlight, you use those platforms that you're able to step on to pull somebody up, to provide an opportunity for somebody out there who didn't have the same opportunity that you did. That is one of the great things in life. That is one of the shining things. That is one of those things that when it's time to go on and make your transition to your ancestors, people will not remember how many cars or how many houses that you own. They're going to remember what you did to help other people, what you did to help other people. So that's the 1%. Remain humble. You have to remain humble. I'm from Trinidad. I'm originally from Trinidad. I came to you. Anyone from the Caribbean in here? Parents from the Caribbean? Where?
Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic. Anybody else? All right. I'm originally from Trinidad. I came to the U.S. when I was 10. Long story short, I came to Massachusetts at 10. Experienced a lot of different adversity. As soon as I came to the U.S., racism that I'd never encountered before, ever. And a lot of low expectations that were set for me. So I went to a school, and I was in a community initially that was, and I thank goodness for the experience. But the first community I came to, it was predominantly white, and I met some lifelong friends that I have to this day by way of being a part of that community. But one of the negative things that happened to me is that I had a slew of teachers that consistently set low expectations for me, low expectations for Solomon Kamachan. So I would get a C on a paper, and I was a kid. I was naive. Studies have gone into this. Your professors back there, they'll tell you. There's been tons of studies that teachers to this day will know this when they look at education, that the expectations that teachers set for their students, especially in middle school, elementary school, high school, play a major role in terms of how those students do or perform or see themselves performing in the classroom. I got C's. Teachers put happy faces on those papers. Put a happy face. Good job, Solomon. Good job, Saul. They call me Saul. I don't even understand why they just shortened my name like that, but they just felt the need to it. Good job, Saul. And it would be in the boys' locker room, before basketball practice, because I picked up basketball. No one was playing soccer when I came to the U.S., so I picked up basketball. That became my passion, which it still is today. But before basketball practice, some of my friends, we would talk about, how'd you do in class and this, that, and the other. And my counterparts, who were white, when they got C's, there was no sticker there. It was, you can do better, Justin. You can do better, Charlie. You can do better. And so when my mom found out about this, when she, because I sometimes didn't show all my papers, when she found out about this, she shut that whole thing down very, very quickly. She went to school and basically gave them, read them the riot act. You may have low expectations for my son, but I don't. Don't you ever think about putting a happy face and setting that low expectation for him and saying that it's acceptable, that it's some kind of good job that he got a C on his paper. She shut it down quick. And then she sat me down and she tapped into my inner beauty. And we're going to talk about that. So I had all this stuff. I was apathetic, didn't realize my potential, I settled for less. But then there was that turning point. I struggled academically. I'm not talking about just C's. I would get D's. I struggled mightily. This was freshman year, sophomore year, senior year. Struggled. Adopted basketball, adopted hip-hop culture. Date myself, I'm a part of a generation in the hip-hop culture where it's called the golden era. And I just want to put this out there because this is about thinking critically as well. This is about, there's media all around us. Media all around us. And I want to tell you this, just tell you a quick tidbit. When I grew up, it was called the golden era. And that's because they called it the golden era, the era of consciousness in hip-hop, because at that time, most of the messages that we were getting from hip-hop artists, from rappers, men and women, they were about empowerment. They were about self-empowerment. They were about culture. They were about, there was a song called Knowledge is King by Kumo D. So the dollar is moot, knowledge is king. So the chorus over and over again. And it was one of the most popular songs out there. And it was played out there. So when I see kind of what is played in the mainstream right now, and I just want to tell you, there are actually more rappers right now that are talking about things of social significance and culture right now than even when I was young. However, they're not played. The only difference is they're not played. You don't get that. You don't get a balance. It's very censored. So I want you to not just take this message, but when you go back to your high schools on Monday and Tuesday of next week and further on, you engage and you challenge the young men and women who are your peers, who aren't here today. You challenge them to critically think. We all know some people who have embraced some of the narratives that have been put out there by the music that they find acceptable to play, that doesn't present you as kings and queens. And they've accepted that. They've embodied that. Challenge them to think beyond that and to say, hey, you know what? There's other rappers that are talking about culture. They're talking about calling us kings and queens, and they're not putting this stuff out there. Challenge them to think beyond what somebody else is doing, what they're trying to, and what they're allowing themselves to be defined as. So, hip-hop culture paved the way for me. I was a scholar and I didn't know it. I was a scholar and I did not know it. So I got those bad grades, and I had no idea I was a scholar. Rappers were telling me about Marcus Garvey, about Malcolm X, about Fannie Lou Hamer, about Ida B. Wells. I mean, go on and on about history, about history, about history. And so when I heard something, just like when you guys, some of you hear things, you write it down. I wrote it down, my friends wrote it down, and we would go look it up or ask our parents. And the learning process went on and on. The rappers didn't dumb things down for us. They didn't dumb it down. So I became interested in social issues. I became very interested in social issues and what was going on in the world, not just in my community. Learned about social injustices and why it was important for even a young person that, like me, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, to oppose social injustices and find what way I could combat those even at that time. I became enthusiastic about the acquisition of knowledge, critically astute. What does astute mean? What does astute mean? One of our elders, tell us what astute means.
Proficient in the category. Smart, intelligent.
That's it. That's it. That's right there. That's right there. Culturally centered, I was confident, globally wise, I became a better student. I became a better student because my mom connected the dots. She sat me down. She said, it's impossible for you, Solomon Kamajan, to do poorly. It is impossible for you to do poorly in the classroom if you can sit here and you can memorize the lyrics of 2 and 3 albums an entire week. How do you memorize the song? I said, it's easy. I listen to the song over and over again. But she said, don't you understand if you're getting a D or a C in English literature or history or social studies, that all it takes is repetition. So then if you don't get it the first time, you read the chapter over again, you read the paragraph over again until it becomes intrinsic, until it becomes second nature. Right? Right? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Do you guys do that? But if you don't, anything that's difficult for you in the classroom, you have to read it over and over again. Think about some of the things. When you bend down and you tie your shoes, you don't have to look at yourself when you tie your shoes. It's because you've done it a million times beforehand. It's become second nature. And that's the same thing with academics or anything, learning. If you do it over and over again, it becomes second nature. I found that also my best friend couldn't read my senior year. He happened to be actually, at the high school I was at, he happened to be the only other black male in that high school. And he was transferred to our high school from an inner city high school, and just had a terrible background. I mean, his mom died when he was young. His father was bedridden. I mean, and he was in foster homes throughout until he moved with his brother in the community that I was in. But we found out he couldn't read our senior year. So let me ask you a question, critical thinking. All right, we didn't know he couldn't read because, you know, he memorized the same songs that we memorized because at the time you would, you know, in the inside of your tape cover would be the lyrics of whatever artist album that you were listening to. So you would read and say, oh man, I didn't catch it. Oh, that's what he said. That's what she said. So who had to know that he couldn't read? Who were the people that knew he couldn't read? If he made it to his senior year, and he came to that high school when he was, what, a sophomore? Yeah. Who had to know that he couldn't read? I mean, you got it, his teachers. So they passed him off like a conveyor belt, like he was on a conveyor belt, like he was a piece of meat or just a product on a conveyor belt. They passed him on and on and on. And we found out accidentally that he couldn't read. And he admitted to us, you know, we were playing the game and we were picking on him and, you know, demanded he read something on the screen, and he wouldn't. And after about 5 minutes, he just broke down and admitted, I can't read. I can't read. So that right there, that was an injustice that changed the way I thought about education. Thought radically different about education. Thought radically different. My whole naivete about even beyond what was done to me, even beyond the happy faces that I got. It was well beyond that. Well beyond that. I was like, you did this to my best friend? Are you kidding me? You knew that he couldn't read and you passed him on and passed him on? So I thought a lot differently. I wasn't looking at teachers the same way. I had one teacher that was in my corner, that was my mom. And my mom said, you know, the discipline you put in Solomon to going out, I used to go out in the summertime and I would shoot 500, 400 jump shots before 10 a.m., before anyone else got to the court. We'd shoot it out, repetition. She said, you have discipline. Transfer that discipline into the classroom. You have mental prowess. You can memorize certain things. You can play Nintendo. Yes, to date myself again, it was the original Nintendo. You can play Nintendo. And that's when you lost, you couldn't just start from the stage that you lost it. You had to start from the very, very beginning. So you start from the very beginning and remember where you were going, how to maneuver. So she said, you have mental prowess. So it took me about 2 weeks, but I bought into it. And when I bought into it, my life changed. My life changed as a student. I went on, got Dean's List for the first time my senior year, got Dean's List, Dean's List, Dean's List. Went on, I had to go a junior college route because I didn't have a strong enough dossier going back to my junior and senior year. So I did a year at junior college, Dean's List, Dean's List. You know, in high school, I should say it was honor roll, and then Dean's List in college. Went on, transferred on, Dean's List, graduated with honors, went to grad school, and the rest is history. I've written 4 books, and it's not about me, but I've written 4 books. You know, I do lectures, you know, different places. I've been to Norway, and I've been able to share these experiences and talk about different things. But as I start to close, I want you to look at this. These are certain things. Every single one of you has some kind of talent and acumen. Every single one of you has some talent in you. Some talent or talents. Use those talents. Look beyond those talents. Those talents can be applied in different areas. They can be applied in different areas in your life, not just in the classroom, but different. Well, you know, I mean, there's a lot of talents. If you excel in sports, I mean, you're already a great negotiator. You're a great team player. There's different things that you can do, and you can take those talents elsewhere. But these things, repetition, we talked about that, applying yourself, discipline, time management. When you go to college, time management, and they will tell you, these college students will tell you, if you have no time management, if you have a short attention span, you're not going to excel in college. You may just get by, if you're lucky. You may just get by. You may just get by. If you're lucky, you'll get by. But you must manage your time. You're going to be thrown a lot of things at you, distractions, different things that you're going to have opportunities to do socially. You know, not just parties, but this is going on campus, this is going on, there's this meeting, and you need to monitor how much time you're putting into these things, and your grades, your studying must take a priority. So my formula was I studied my butt off Sunday through Thursday. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday I took off. Those were my times to, you know, to do things that were socially entertaining. Figure it out. But your academics must take priority number 1 once you step on that campus. Once you step on that campus, you must figure it out right now, right then and there. They will tell you, if you try to start to figure out your time management skills, your second semester, or your second year, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. It's not that you can't do it, but it's going to make it that much more difficult. Visualize and believe. Be a visionary. See things that other folks can't see. We talked about elders seeing things in you that maybe you can't see. Make that transition where you start to see yourself. When you start to fill out these applications, visualize yourself, even though you can't be physically on every single campus. Your first year of college, you're going to have to make a decision on which one you want to go to. Visualize. When you're filling out those applications, visualize yourself on those college campuses. Every single last one of them. You're applying to Pepperdine and where else? Where else?
University of Maryland and Penn State.
Picture yourself on Penn State's campus, on University of Maryland's campus, and Pepperdine's campus. When you're filling out those applications, make those applications a reflection of your greatness, of your being a king, of your being a queen. Because if it's not a reflection of your greatness, it will come through. And it will come through. And if you have subpar grades, no one in here has subpar grades, but if you have grades that are just, you know what I'm saying, you know, the same as, you know, maybe you have a 3.0 and there's a whole bunch of other people that have a 3.0, and your application represents somebody that rushed through it, and your application represents somebody that did things in a hasty way, and you didn't give your all in your essay, that may be the difference between you getting in and not getting in. It's serious. It's serious. Make your applications a reflection of who you are. Dedicate yourself to your goals. Educate yourself and others. It's not too soon. It's not too soon to start study halls and study groups in high school and take that tradition with you onto college. There's a lot of power and there's a lot of just, I would say, human capital and resources in studying with others. We all have something to learn from somebody else. If there's a formula that you can't get, if you're studying in a group, somebody else may understand that. So, you know, start that practice as well. Overall goals for the future. Set short-term and long-term goals for yourself. All right, my short-term goals, I want to get into college. I want to get into Pepperdine. I want to get into UCLA. I want to get into Harvard. My short-term goals. My long-term goals, or my longer-term goal, I want to get my MD, I want to get my JD, I want to get my master's degree, I want to do this, I want to be a teacher, I want to be the best teacher I can be. The next level, I want to be this, I want to be the best community member I can, I want to be the best son, daughter, niece, nephew that I can. Start to set those goals and write them down. You write them down. You have these notebooks. I'm not going to teach what you know. But you have these notebooks. You have these notebooks. Write them down. Write them down. And look at them periodically. And start to check them off. Okay, accomplished. Mission accomplished. Next thing. Keep pushing yourself. Keep challenging yourself. There's going to be people out there that don't expect a lot from you. There's already people out there that do not expect much from you. Don't allow them to define you. You can't allow them to define you. If you start to allow anyone to define you, and that includes the media, that includes 95.5, whatever you're saying, whatever radio stations or television stations that are feeding you this stuff that is, you know, that you should see it as sexist, as misogynistic, as stereotypically racist. As long as you allow that stuff to define you, you will be defined by other people the rest of your life. And you will be no different than the crowd. Distinguish yourself. You want to step aside and distinguish yourself so that you can impact others. You can't get other people to follow you and to say, hey, I want to embrace the greatness that Aaron has. If you're just one of the same, if you're just doing the same thing that everybody else is. Distinguish yourself so other folks can feed off the positivity and the positive influence that you exude. Be active in your community. Whatever community you're in, whatever college campus you're on, find a way to be impactful on that campus. Don't just set your goals. I want to be a straight A student. I want to have, you know, a 3.8. Don't just set your goals there. Those are great goals. Find out how you can impact. Wait a second. Wait a minute. What's your name?
Aaron.
Eric?
Aaron.
Aaron. What's your name?
Veronica.
Aaron and Veronica. You're both college students here, right?
Yeah.
What year are you?
I'm a senior now.
Sophomore.
Okay. If they set their goals, hey, I just want to be a straight A student. They wouldn't be here. Eric's not here. Veronica's not here. They're not. They said, you know what? I want to do something. I want to give some of me. There's a lot of me to give. I want to get involved in this program. I want to give myself. All right? So they're here. So when he graduates, he's a senior. Y'all that are working with him are going to remember him. You're going to remember the experience that you had with Eric. And these students over here to my left. You're going to remember that experience. Huh?
His name was Aaron.
Aaron. Oh, Aaron, just like, okay. Aaron, I'm sorry. Aaron, is there an Eric in here? No, okay. Well, Aaron, I'm sorry. He's given himself. It's not just about academics, so find a way to be impactful on that campus by the time you graduate. Find a way to make an impact on that campus. Be a critical thinker. We talked about that. And that's the guy who I was telling you, the rapper in 1989, that song called Knowledge is King. Knowledge is King. He said ignorance is bliss and suckers are into it. So I heard that over and over again. I was 13 at the time. I heard that over and over again, 6, 7 times a day. Ignorance is bliss and suckers ain't into it. I looked up to Kumo D just like a lot of kids look up to athletes and entertainers right now. I did not want to be a sucker. I did not want to embrace and say ignorance. So I took it upon myself to embrace all the things that came outside of the classroom. So as we close, it's also important to use your support systems. This is a support system here. Okay. This is a support system here. This is a support system all around you. Take it upon yourself. As I said before, don't just shoot to be another academically talented student on that college campus. It is vastly important. Yes, your academics are your first priority. But as I said before, if Aaron and Veronica and all these students over here, if it was just about academics, and that's all they wanted to be when they came to University of Maryland as a student, just wanted to be another academically talented student, most likely they would not be here today. They wanted to be something different. They wanted to make an impact in some other way. So challenge yourself to find ways, whatever community that you occupy when you go to college, find a way to make that impact on that college campus. Find a way to give back. The lessons you're learning right now, the lessons that you've been learning, being a part of this process, the lessons you're learning from all the elders in this room. Find a way to take that. Listen, it's no good, trust me. I'm going to say it's no good if any of the information I'm giving you, if it just sticks with you. If it just, what's your name, young man? Huh? Jan? If it just stays with Jan, it makes no sense. That's why 4 or 5 slides ago I said next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, those students that couldn't be here today, take that information, give it to them. In a perfect world, information is free. In a better world, in a better society here, information in college education is free. And let you know a little secret. In some countries, college is for free. Some countries, college is for free. Tim is actually from Switzerland, and college is free there. And he also lived in Germany before that, and college is free there. But take that information. Unfortunately, it's not there yet, and hopefully this is something that your generation will fight for, that at least on the state level will have free tertiary education. Tertiary is just a fancy word for higher education. We'll have free Head Start and nursery school programs for students and mothers. That's something you can fight for. But information shouldn't be free. Take that information. Don't let it stay with yourself, Jan. Don't let it stay with yourself. Take it and give it to other folks. Let them know what you learned today. Let them know what you learned today. That's a humongous step in terms of setting yourself apart. And you're going to carry that with you onto the college campuses that you go to. And if you do that, some of you will go on to be SGA president, vice president, president of a various organizations. There's a million, as Aaron will say, can tell you, as Veronica can tell you, as they can tell you, there's a million student organizations, a part of the Student Government Association on this campus, and on various campuses. Find a way to get involved in those. And what's this right here? What did I say? I think this is like the second last slide. Right here. This says visionaries. What's a visionary? What is a visionary? What's a visionary? What's a visionary? This is the last slide. What's a visionary? Huh? Let me give you an example. A person that what?
A person that inspired others.
Okay. Okay. And that's true. Yes. Yes. What's your name? Rihanna. Rihanna. Like the singer. Rihanna. Okay.
No, the singer's like her.
Yeah, the singer. Yeah. And she can only hope to be as good as this Rihanna. Yes. Yeah. So hopefully one day maybe she'll meet you and then you can make that impact, influence her in some ways. She said something beautiful. It's a person, and this is the perfect place to leave you with. It's a person that can see things that others can't. Let me tell you this right now, just a real quick story. Those folks that you study, see, I take history very, very Only a fool will ever tell anybody, oh, history, that's in the past, that doesn't matter. If you have a math book, if you have a science book, those books were written based on history. History. History goes into everything. Goes into everything. So some of the folks that you learn about in class, social studies and history class, some of those folks, let's say Dr. Martin Luther King, say somebody that you guys know partially, all right? And I say, please study Dr. King. There's a great speech he gave. There's a great speech. I want you to think about this speech. You write it down, and you can get it. It's on YouTube. It's called Beyond Vietnam. It's called Beyond Vietnam, Breaking the Silence. It's a speech that Dr. King gave a year to the day that he was assassinated, which was April 4th, 1967, which he gave that speech in Riverside Church, Baptist Church. We know that he was assassinated April 4th, 1968. Beyond Vietnam, Breaking the Silence. That's the name of the speech. Look at that speech and listen to that speech when you hear it on YouTube, and then read the transcript. Well, first, Dr. King was a visionary. He saw things that other people couldn't see. He saw what's going on right now that people at that time could not see. They couldn't see it. They couldn't see it. And there's not a lot of folks in society that are visionaries. We can change that. And I want you guys to be visionaries. Visionaries of your own lives. When you're writing those applications, you're being a visionary when you're seeing things that some folks can't see. You're seeing yourselves occupy those college campuses. See that. See yourself there. See yourself being change agents. See yourself being the best that you possibly can be. Don't try to say, I'm going to try to be better than him. Or I'm going to try to be better than her. Be the best that you can possibly be. If you work hard and that you are the best that you possibly can be, things will start to fall into place. Don't worry about competing with this, that, and the other. Compete with yourself. Challenge yourself. I got a B, next time I'm going to get an A. I got an A, I'm going to make sure that I get another A and another A and another A. Be visionaries. That is the perfect place for me to leave you with. Be visionaries. See things that other people cannot see. I did not see greatness in myself until my mom pointed it out to me. She pointed it out to me, and then I started to see things well before anybody else could see them. Guaranteed those teachers that gave me those C's and those happy faces, they never saw me occupying a college campus like this one and doing the things I did. They never saw me writing 4 books and giving lectures internationally. They never saw that. And by the way, it's not about me, and that's why Tim can tell you this. The vast majority of lectures I do, he was saying, especially in this area in Baltimore, I go to schools and it's not about me. So if somebody asks me, and 70% of them, right? About 75% of them, I do for free. You know, how dare I, if somebody doesn't have the money for me to say, you know what, no, I'm not going to come to your school. No, I'm not going to come to your school. No, if I can make it, I'll be there. If I can get in my car and I can drive and I get the time off, I'll be there. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Things will work themselves out. It'll balance themselves out. So look around you, at the kings and queens around you, and look at the elders who have given literally a lot of time and sweat and energy so that this could possibly happen today. Those are the ones I want you to cherish. Those elders and those people around you. See the greatness. See Jan doing some major things 10, 12, 5, 2 years down the line. See Rihanna doing major things. I look at eyes, eye contact, I see a lot of greatness in you. I see you. It wouldn't be any surprise. It wouldn't be any surprise. I might surprise other people. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But down the line, and you end up being my boss or something like that. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And just let me keep working. Don't fire me. But that's what it's about. All right? So fill out those applications. See yourselves on those campuses as you fill out those applications. Say, listen, they're interviewing me. I'm interviewing them. This is what I bring to that campus. Don't be arrogant. Be humble. But have confidence in yourself. Keep it to yourself. Carry that confidence. Don't be arrogant. Be humble, but see confidence in yourself and see yourselves on those college campuses. I want you to give a round of applause, not for me, but for yourselves for being here. And if you're in the area, and this is my email address on campus, if in any shape, form, or fashion, I work in the Nimburu Cultural Center, which is a Black Cultural Center on campus. And regardless of whether your history is of African ancestry or not, the same way I need to learn as much as I possibly can about Asian history, and Latino history, and European history. People need to learn about African history. And so if you ever want to like come on campus for a short tour or what have you, you know, just let me know. I'll find some students and we'll make it happen in some shape, form, or fashion. I hope I can continue to be a part of your village. And if so, I'm here to give myself in whatever way I can. Thank you. Oh, Kamajan. If you look at it, my cousin was the first Miss Universe of African ancestry, the first black Miss Universe, and she represented Trinidad in 1977. You remember Penny Kamajan? Janelle Penny Kamajan, and she won Miss Universe for Trinidad that year. Did you have a question?
What are the names of the 4 books that you wrote?
First one was Mining the Positive Motivators from Hip Hop to Educate. The second one was a children's book for children that are in middle school called How Jamal Discovered Hip Hop Culture. So the book is a book for kids that teaches them Black African history. It teaches them proper nutrition, teaches them self-esteem, how to be more involved in your community through hip hop. The third one was thoughts, reflections, and solutions to issues in America, or African issues in America. And then the last one I just wrote just came out this past summer, which was a hip hop activist speaks out on social issues. Yeah, if you go to my website, they're all, the first one, SolomonKamajan.com, they're all listed there. She has 3 questions. A JD. Oh, that's a Juris Doctorate. It's something. It's the final line. It's like a terminal degree, the final degree that you get if you're going to be a lawyer. So it's what lawyers get. You see at the end of their name, it says Esquire or JD. So it's a Juris Doctorate. Yeah. So JD, and then there's the MD. That's MD, and then there's PhD. The good doctor has. Is it a PhD or ADD? PhD. But then there's the EDD, and that's that's my mom has the EDD. So it's the final line. Yeah. Some people call it the terminal degrees. Any other questions? You said erudite. Erudite, like a scholar, a learned person. Sometimes I say a learned man. I like to say a learned person. Someone that's well educated. You know. And I'll just say this really quickly. Listen. Some of the most brilliant people I know. Honestly, and it's just because of circumstance, are folks that, just have high school diplomas, they just have bachelor's degrees. They read like fish. When you get your PhD or your JD, whatever, you're getting training. It's a tough road. And it's a road that all of you guys can handle. But it's training, towards a specific profession. So don't think that you get your PhD and I know everything, I'm the smartest person in the world. No, there's a whole bunch of information that's out there that's left and right, that is all around you. Because you can't ever know or learn every single thing in the world. And I'll end this, the most brilliant people I know, whether they have PhDs or no degrees at all, the most brilliant people I know are the ones who recognize how ignorant they are. And they're people that I'm saying, like, you're brilliant. They're like, brother, but I have to recognize my ignorance. As long as I recognize my ignorance, I will continue to pursue knowledge and information. But as soon as I feel like I know everything, what motivation do I have to read more? What motivation do I have? So, and you guys one more question? Oh, dossier. That's like, dossier is like, it's like,
Resume.
huh?
CV, resume.
Yeah, like a CV, like a resume. Yeah, it's like a CV, curriculum vitae, a resume. Yeah, it's your accomplishments, and things that you've done, on paper or papers. And any last questions? Any last questions or comments? Huh? Yeah, I'm in the process, right? Yeah, actually, after my second book, I said I wasn't going to write anymore. And then I set it up for my third book. And then this one, it's very, and then after this one, I mean, like this one was like the most difficult one, because it's just a lot of work. But I'm addicted to, I'm not, like as I said before, I'm not an MC. And I've never been able to really draw well. And I like to sing, but I don't sing well. I think I sing, I'm thinking I'm singing well in the shower, but I don't sing well. So my way of expressing myself has been through my words. I draw pictures with my words and sentences. And that's another thing. As we approach this election season, I want you also to remember that just like I don't want your education to start and end in the classroom, your expression, your political expression, how you express yourselves, doesn't start and end with any ballot box. It doesn't start and end with any ballot box. The real work exists year-round when people just get involved, even if it just happens to be you going on a college campus and you starting a political education group where there's 10 of you that come together and you guys look at policies that unfortunately most people that go to the ballot boxes don't even know about. You know, they just kind of vote on names and recognition and so forth. Don't do that. Be an engaged voter. To me, if you're going to go in the ballot box, you're just going to vote on because so-and-so told you to vote there. It's a wasted vote. You want to go into that ballot box knowing exactly why I'm voting for him or her or them.
I'm the senior class president at my school.
Congratulations.
And I was wondering, would you be interested in talking to the seniors?
Yes, I would, without a doubt.
Okay.
Consider, what high school?
Lanesburg High School.
Good. Yeah, yes, I would love to. I would love to. And we share something in common. I'm the president of the Black Faculty and Staff Association here on this campus.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Any last questions? Any last questions? I thank you for your attention span because it's really important. Your attention, and I just want to say this really quickly. 2 years ago, we had an opportunity, a group of us on campus, students and community members, we raised enough money to send 15,000 course-specific textbooks to 6 schools in northern Uganda, a place that was formerly war-torn. It was a 21-year war, and we sent 15,000 books there. And the reason I say this is that these children, who many lost their parents and grandparents in war, a brutal war that waged on for 21 years. Most of the schools were about 800, 900, 1,000 students, and they had the most books that were in any one of those 6 schools was about 35 books. So you imagine there was a huge gap. I mean, there was just an unacceptable amount of books there. And it wasn't because the community members or teachers didn't want. It was just because of resources, war torn. So we were able to get. Now each of those schools has minimally, a few thousand books in those schools. So but the story is, a good friend of mine, a very, very good friend from the U.S. here, has been living there for several years now, living in Uganda, northern Uganda. And he tells me this, he said it's unbelievable. He said someone who's taught in high schools, in high schools in America, he said this is what American students can learn if they were here. He said, Solomon, I'll be teaching outside. Sometimes we have to teach outside. Sometimes we're at the schoolhouse. It has no walls. It just has a roof over it, and there's chairs. And he said the students will be 14 and 15 years of age. And if you're the teacher and you come into that classroom, all 50 students are sitting there, and they're taking notes. There's no talk this way or this way. There's no falling asleep. They're sitting there taking notes. Education is something, sometimes when you don't have something, it becomes something that you thirst and you quench for. So that's something that has never been taken out of their culture, is the thirst and the desire for education. They really cherish it. And so now these books are really allowing teachers to teach more effectively and students to learn more effectively. But he said, man, you go for 45 minutes and there's just, some students you assign them one essay and they'll hand you 2. These are 14, 15-year-old kids in northern Uganda, yeah. So I just, so I appreciate the attention span that you guys have exhibited throughout this, because you're going to need it in college. You're going to need it. There's going to be some classes that are very, very, here's another word, pedantic. Look it up. And you're going to need your attention span. All right, turn it over to the good doctors. You guys have to eat.